Oh, honey, grab your popcorn and tighten your ponytail because Blake Lively just set a courtroom on fire. Figuratively, of course. But the judge, he was this close to tossing his gavel across the room. This wasn't some Netflix dramatization or PR staged oopsie. No, this was Blake walking into Department 84 of the Los Angeles Superior Court, thinking she'd own the narrative, only to be publicly dragged by the very judge in charge of her lawsuit. You could feel the drama shift in the air the second she walked in. Now, let's rewind for a sec. This was supposed to be a routine pre-trial formality. Nothing flashy, nothing headline-worthy. Blake had filed a defamation and harassment lawsuit against actor-director Justin Baldoni. Things had been heating up since late 2024, and this hearing, just a checkpoint. But girl, the moment Blake tried to quietly drop two major claims, emotional distress and intentional infliction of trauma, everything exploded. Like, are we supposed to pretend those weren't the very claims that got the public crying for her in the first place? Enter the legal pit bull, defense attorney LNS Garoppolo. She wasn't playing games. She demanded Blake hand over her medical records from 2022 through 2025. Her argument? If you're saying you were mentally wrecked, show us the receipts. Therapy notes, hospital visits, prescriptions, standard stuff, right? But instead of complying or fighting back with a protective order, Blake's team hit the emergency brakes. Her lawyer, Raymond Keller, stood up like it was just another Tuesday and calmly announced, "We are choosing to focus on the more egregious sexual misconduct elements." What? The entire courtroom stiffened. Even Judge Robert D. Hathaway, who's seen more celebrity courtroom shenanigans than anyone should, literally took off his glasses and paused. He squinted at Blake's team like, "Are y'all for real right now?" And Roberts, he snapped. "This court is not a stage for publicists," he thundered. "You don't get to make headlines and then run when you're asked to prove it." Boom. The air went cold. You could hear reporters scribbling like their lives depended on it. Everyone from TMZ Trials and Laws to Hollywood Brief leaned forward in their seats, jaws slightly dropped. This wasn't just a claim withdrawal, it was a full-on credibility collapse. Let's be clear, California's Civil Code Section 3281 is no joke. If you're claiming mental anguish, you better back it up. And when Blake's team yanked that claim, the moment the court asks for proof, baby, it wasn't just suspicious. It looked like a strategic retreat from a lie. And the judge, he knew it. Judge Hathaway's courtroom has handled some serious drama, but this moment, this was different. He leaned forward, voice low but deadly serious. "Statements made to the media carry no legal weight in my courtroom. When legal reality collides with celebrity PR, which version survives?" All the shit and trust. He wasn't done. He noticed something else that nobody could ignore. Blake's own legal team looked shaken. Co-counsel Vanessa Ortega looked like she just realized she was on the Titanic. She was flipping through folders, whispering frantically to junior associates. Like, did Blake not even tell her team she was about to pull those claims? Keller might have made the call alone, and that right there made the judge even madder. Judge Hathaway didn't just scold, he warned. Any more claims dropped without evidence would trigger Rule 11 review. That's legalese for, if y'all are filing false claims, someone's getting penalized, maybe even disbarred. And then, boom, the Gabble Slam. The judge exploded. This is a court of law, not a publicist's rehearsal room. He straight up accused Blake of weaponizing the court for personal branding. And when Keller tried to throw in some legal mumbo-jumbo, Hathaway cut him off cold. If your client was medically traumatized, where's the evidence? Where are the therapist's notes? Where are the affidavits? This court does not exist to rubber stamp your headlines. Ladies and gentlemen, we just witnessed a legal read of epic proportions, and Judge Hathaway wasn't bluffing. He dropped the legal grenade. Rule 11 sanction. Blake's withdrawn claims were found to be fabricated or exaggerated. Her entire team could be punished. Not just with case dismissal. We're talking monetary penalties, disbarment, public shaming in front of the entire legal community. And then, just hours later, bam, Hathaway issued a formal court order. Review everything Blake's team had filed since December 2024. Transcripts, affidavits, public statements, evidence logs, even her interviews. He wanted it all cross-checkered. Translation: Translation, Blake's media campaign just became Exhibit A in a legal witch hunt. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, Justin Baldoni's legal team struck back. They filed a countersuit accusing Blake of strategic defamation for financial advantage. You heard that right. They built a timeline of every shady quote Blake gave to The Cut, EW, and Vulture, all these spicy sound bites painting Baldoni as a predator. Yet none of them were part of the official court filings. Why? Because then they'd be legally accountable. Now it's giving calculated smear campaign? Even UCLA law professor Talia Jennings chimed in, and whew, she did not hold back. If Blake knowingly exaggerated any claim under oath, that's perjury, and if her lawyers helped, that's conspiracy. This is no longer a celebrity civil suit, it's a full-blown criminal threat. To make it even juicier, Judge Hathaway slapped both sides with a hard deadline, 14 business days. All remaining evidence, text messages, emails, therapy logs, security footage, everything. No extensions, no excuses. Let's see who's bluffing. Because if Blake really had nothing to hide, why is everyone acting like they're scrambling for a cover-up? Oh, honey, if you thought the courtroom was savage, social media said, hold my phone. Because by the next morning, Blake Lively Lies was trending hard. 7 hours straight. Over 820,000 retweets before noon. Memes, mockery, mashups. Clips from her crying at the 2020 premiere of the Rhythm section got slapped with captions like, Oscar-worthy, but not court-worthy. They weren't asking if Blake was lying. They were laughing at the idea she ever told the truth. When the people who once worship your red carpet looks start treating you like tabloid comedy fodder, that's not backlash, that's freefall. And just when you think it can't get darker, BuzzFeed Legal drops a bombshell editorial. Blake Lively, the Amber Heard playbook revisited. That's right, they went there. The piece didn't hold back. It compared Blake's strategic claim withdrawal to Amber Heard's infamous deposition collapse back in 2016. BuzzFeed even did a side-by-side of Blake's interviews versus court filings. Contradictions? Oh, baby. They were screaming. It was vicious, and it was strategic. They knew what they were doing. Then came the leak that shattered what was left of Blake's credibility. A text thread between Blake and her longtime PR manager, Stephanie Jones, circulated by legal bloggers, reposted by watchdog accounts, and in one message, Stephanie allegedly wrote, drop it. We'll win hearts with the harassment angle anyway. Read that. Again, if verified, that message is basically proof that Blake's team knew all along the emotional distress claim was never meant to see trial. It was bait, optics, a PR trick. Jonesworks, the firm repping Blake, they clammed up immediately. No comments, no denials, just silence. But girl, silence is loud. And that silence made one thing crystal clear. The emotional trauma narrative wasn't legal. It was marketing. The fallout, swift and brutal. According to YouGov celebrities, Blake's public favorability rating nosedived from 64% to 41% in just 2 months. That's steeper than Ellen DeGeneres' during the whole toxic workplace debacle in 2020. And the brands, they ran for the hills. Fashion house Maison Dulu, which had just plastered Blake's face all over their 2025 spring campaign, deleted every single photo of her from their socials overnight, just gone. The message was clear. Blake wasn't just a liability, she was radioactive. And behind the scenes, it was even messier. Her legal team rushed to hold an emergency press conference outside the courthouse. Raymond Keller stood there in front of cameras, trying to spin this collapse like a strategic refocus. He said the media was mischaracterizing the narrative and Blake had every legal right to drop claims. Nice try. But reporters weren't buying it. They grilled him like a panini. Why no therapist statements? Why no withdrawal notice until the judge called her bluff? Why so many contradictions between her Variety quotes and court filings? Keller had answers, but none that felt real. It was spin, empty, and the press could smell it. Then came the final emotional knife twist. Taylor Swift bailed. Yup. Blake's team had been counting on Taylor to come through as a character witness. You know, bestie solidarity. That 2020 support she tweeted during Blake's It Ends With Us press drama, that was supposed to be her credibility crutch. But Swift's team, they pulled out. Fast. Word is they were worried about reputational exposure. Translation, they didn't want to get burned standing next to a house already on fire. That was the moment Hollywood insiders knew the inner circle was starting to collapse. If Taylor Swift walks away from you, publicly and privately, you're done. Meanwhile, inside the law offices of Keller and Mark X LLP, it was chaos. Insiders leaked that Keller had threatened to withdraw representation if Blake kept making moves without legal strategy. Apparently, she was going rogue, ignoring advice, ghosting firm calls, making off-screen comments to the media. Worse, managing partners at the firm started discussing partial disengagement, like they might still rep her on some parts of the case, but completely ditched the ones that posed a reputation risk to the firm. Yikes, if your own lawyers are trying to distance themselves from your testimony, that's not damage control, that's legal triage. And then came the final legal nuke. Turns out Blake's team had been quietly seeking outside counsel to assess whether her past statements, interviews, court filings, tweets could expose her to defamation charges and malicious prosecution penalties. Because if anything she said was knowingly false, that's not just a loss in court. That's a whole new lawsuit waiting to happen. And then Judge Hathaway did something unheard of. He filed a judicial ethics referral to the California State Bar. Yes, you read that right. So get this, Judge Hathaway didn't just clap back. He launched a legal missile. He's now asking the California State Bar to investigate whether Blake Lively and her lawyers manipulated the system in bad faith. And baby, that never happens this early. He invoked Section 128.5, a powerful rule that slams anyone filing bogus, harassing motions. And according to Hathaway, Blake's emotional trauma claim was never real, just a publicity stunt to grab headlines, gain sympathy, and vanish the moment proof was demanded. If proven, Blake could face $50,000, 0 cents in fines, but forget the money, the real bombshell. This could change how all celebrity lawsuits are handled. No more trial by Twitter. No more crying to the press without receipts. And Blake's not the only one in hot water. Her entire legal team is under fire. Legal podcasts, panels, and Disqualify Keller are exploding online. People are digging into old cases, trying to prove this PR courtroom circus is part of a pattern. And now, the million-dollar question, was any of it even real? Because if Blake made it all up and her team helped, this isn't justice, it's deception. And the courtroom? Just a stage for her next act. Now it's up to the state bar to decide, did Blake turn the court into a PR battlefield, and will she pay the price for it? Because one thing's clear, she walked in expecting applause, and now she's facing perjury, penalties, and total PR ruin. And this courtroom scandal, it's just getting started.